Hey, today I want to talk about how to do a customer journey in practice. So I will do an example. I'm going to be using Miro to actually focus or actually track all the different stages of the customer journey and what would be the activities that I think you should be planning. I'm not going to put any specific example of the product that I would be doing the customer journey for, but I'm thinking more of a product that is a software product that is going to be typically a B2B product. That's the space where I have been working the most. Usually, I have worked more with desktop tools and also with SaaS products, but this would apply to probably either a SaaS product, a desktop product, and potentially also some mobile app, for example, product that is focused on B2B businesses. But don't want to take any longer. Let's jump into what I have created now in Miro, and let's take a look about how this could be looking. What are going to be the stages that are included, and what are going to be the activities that potentially we could be creating around the customer journey to make sure that we are building something that resonates with the needs that our customers have. So now we are in Miro. Here we can see that we have defined more like a service design. Let's call it service design / customer journey, because I don't think that we should just only define a customer journey, but we also have to make sure that we are able to build it. And that's why the service design side. And here we have 5 main stages. They can be renamed in different ways, but the stages are: first, we want to create awareness. We want to make sure that people are able to find about our products. The second is that once they have found out about us, we have to help them consider our products. What are the things that we have to help them understand what is the value proposition of the products that we have created? The next one is that once they have found the value, potentially they want to purchase. What are the activities that we have, or that we create the content that we help them go through that purchase process? Then we want to onboard them, and we want to help them use the product. What are going to be the activities that we have created for that? And finally, we want them to be loyal. We want them to be advocates of our products. So how are we helping them to be able to be our advocates, to be able to be happy with using our products? And I forgot to turn on the lights. It's kind of dark in Finland very early in the day, so it's only almost 2 o'clock and it's starting to get dark. So I'll turn on the light, which I forgot to do earlier. Hopefully that's going to help a little bit. Sorry for the change. In any case, let's start and let's see what would be the things that I would think about when doing a customer journey, and potentially what could be the activities. As you can imagine, this is an exercise. It's a practical exercise, not necessarily how I will build it, but this is to give you an understanding. So I have defined now, and I'm not going to go through all the stages of the service design, but I'm going to stick to the 2 first levels. The first one are the activities, which are the user activities in reality. Let's edit this so for clarity. And the other one will be the front stage, which is basically the activities that we are creating in our site to be able to answer those demands that the users have, or those activities. If you want to see more about the definition of the user activities, about what a front stage is, I will link a video up here. So the first one, what would be the first activity that I think our users would have? Usually, if we think that our product is a business-to-business product, let's say that we are creating something relatively similar to Notion, something that you can relate to. Not necessarily because Notion, but because it's easy to relate what it does. So it's just like a wiki documentation page that also helps you or allows you to do project management and so on. So one of the first things could be to talk about how we create awareness of our product, but maybe the first one is an educational. Or what we had to look first for is how we educate or help the market understand better how to do this. So here what we'll be looking for is something that it's along the educational lines. Let's say that we want to educate the market, as I said. Maybe the first thing that somebody is going to search for when it comes to understanding how to do better project management or how to manage their task is that people Googling how to do or how to manage my tasks. Okay, something like that. So that could be the first one. We could add maybe, if you want to make it more clear so we understand, I'm adding a tag to the actual post-it note. And here in the tag, I would say that this is educational. Oh, there we are. And that would add me a tag here. I can add several tags. Let's see if I need more. But I think that this is good to know that this is something that it's an educational task. It's not a task of creating awareness necessarily of our product, but for them to understand better how to do project management. Why this is important, or how to do task management, is that what I would do here is create now another task or another post-it based on that one. And this will be my answer to that need. What is my answer to that need? Well, my answer to the need can be many things, but something that I think it could help, it would be to create blog post or video about how to manage tasks in let's say SaaS companies or software companies. All right, so that will be my first one. And basically what I want to do here, I want to make sure that I'm adding or creating that education on the market. Why is it important to educate the market? I mean, you can be selfless and you want to make sure that people are better at doing their job. This is something that is important for the people that are going to be looking for this kind of information. Let's say there is a project manager or a product manager, somebody that wants to have to place a tool or a way to manage better their job. This is going to benefit them. That's the selfless side. If you want to be selfish from the company or even your personal point of view, is that you can think that this can help you create trust with an audience. You are creating authority or trying to create authority as a company or as a person, whoever is doing this product, as I am here to deliver value to you as a user by creating this content and helping you as a user to understand better how you are going to be using or how you are going to be doing task management in the future. That will be one of the first ones that I think that will be very relevant. Another one that we could think about next, and it's not necessarily now and now it's not necessarily educational anymore, or you can consider educational, but it's not educational from the point of view of helping the market to do better practices. I'm doing this now to create awareness for my products. And now I'm not completely sure how I get rid of tags in. This is interesting. There you go. You always learn something new. In Miro. So just clicking on the tag, removes the tag. Anyways, this was not a video about how to use Miro. But now I'm going to do another one. It's like, okay, what is going to be the next activity or the next need that the customer is going to have? So potentially what they will want to do after they understand better how to manage tasks, maybe they want to know about tools for managing tasks. And let's say for software products. This is important that we stand as niche down, that we understand better our audience, what are their needs. Because here we can then look into, there's going to be a lot of content about how to manage tasks. So we want to make sure that we are doing this content for our audience. And that's why it's important that we have defined the audience. As part of this exercise, you also have to have first the understanding of your users, your user personas. That will be a totally different video. Let's not go now for that one. Let's say that now with this customer journey, we are targeting mainly our end users. We are not targeting the influencers on the companies. We are not targeting potentially the purchasing personas, the persona that had the purchasing capabilities, not the buyer persona. We are targeting the end user of our product. And for this, what we will have is that, hey, we have this, now this need, and we want to create a tool for, I want to, as a user, we think that they will want to find a tool for managing tasks. So basically here, what we would then have is that basically we will create, again, content, and it can be in different forms. Let's say video, blog post, or whatever, or website even. Obviously, you probably want to have a website about how my product helps users managing their tasks. Okay, so that will be the next one that we could be creating. There are many steps that we could introduce here when it comes to awareness. I'm not going to necessarily create all of them, but some of the questions that your users are going to have is that, what are the best tools to manage tasks? Task is a very difficult word to say, at least for me it is. Let's put it in the form of the question that the user or the potential user, because they are not users at this point, would have. There's other type of awareness that we could be creating, and I have not mentioned here, is that there are going to be, for example, in Reddit, different forums, different, I don't remember now how they call them in Reddit, sorry, communities that are going to be talking, for example, about project management or product management. Let's say that our tool could potentially benefit both of them. So if we create that here, and is that, so users learning about project or product management. Okay, or that want to learn about it. So here we would again, maybe in this case, not create just content, but also run ads, campaigns, promotion, whatever you call them. It's difficult to write and type at the same time, by the way, at least for me. Ad campaigns for the platforms where our users are. This is very important. You have to learn where your users are. If you are creating SaaS products, I'm pretty sure that if you go to Reddit, there's something related to SaaS. If you are creating AI agents, whatever you call them, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some community in Reddit where people go to talk about this. You have to create different types of campaigns, different types of ads, depending on if you're targeting people in the beginning of the journey or if you're targeting people in the end of the journey. What usually is referred as the top of the funnel or the bottom of the funnel. Are they people in the very beginning stages where they don't know anything about your product? Or are they in those stages where they are very familiar with what your product is and they are going to make the decision? So here you could think that I'm running out of space already. Let's say that now here we are still in awareness, and now we go more towards the bottom of the funnel. So usually this is going to be referred as top of the funnel, and this one will be top of the funnel, and this one will be bottom of the funnel. Again, as I said, this is when they are closer to the decision making or closer to the consideration phase. So for example, if we're here, why is it that it's bottom of the funnel? Because in this moment, it's like they are already aware of our product. So they would be asking, how do I manage tasks with, let's say, X, Y, Z is my product? And that's a very, 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 very generic question. But maybe the question is about how do I add new users? How do I remove new users? How do I add tasks? How do I create subtasks? How do I create a timeline? How do I create? Then there's these different questions about how to potentially use the product. And here, again, I would create different things. And this is not necessarily just promotion now. But when we think about in these early stages, I could have different things that are going to help them to find this information. So I could create content in different formats. So one could be, I don't think I can do bullet points in this one. No, it has to be in the other ones. So one could be from the promotion point of view, I could have things like videos, website, blogs, so on. From the point of view of documentation, I could have a knowledge base or something like that. And what best example, if you have something like a Notion app, to have that knowledge base within the product that you are creating, within that competitor for Notion, let's call it for the lack of a better name, which is XYZ, not the best. So that would be part of what you could be creating here. Now, that will be another question on how to manage or how to do certain things with your products. And again, as I said here, this will be more in the bottom of the funnel activities. Another one that people are usually going to check at some point when they think that your product is good, there's going to be two that I think that are very important that people are going to take a look. One of them is the pricing and features. So it's pricing, features, and let's call them tiers, because you probably are going to have several types of tiers of how do you sell your product. You might have the entry level, you have the next level, whatever it is, a pro level, and the enterprise level, which usually have more features. Sometimes they add more users. There are different ways of creating these models, but this is something that is going to be important for them. And usually here, what in most of the cases you're going to have is that I'm going to create like a page in the website let's call it pricing website or site, where I explain all those differences. And this is something that they really want to see. And it's not just about the pricing, but it's also about the features. Sometimes I really had to find which one of all these I need to choose as a user. So that's something that they need to understand. What is the comparison of the different the offering that you have? I also talk here about what are the best tools. That could be a part of the educational, but something that sometimes I've seen in some companies, I think that it's something that users can appreciate. Of course, they will understand that you will do it from your own point of view, is that comparison with competitors. Let's say competitor comparison. Or how does it compare with competitors, let's call it. So why this? Or what would create for this? I mean, why do I need to understand better? It's like I would like to see for a feature like this. I used in the past Coda, for example, and Notion. Coda and Notion are relatively similar tools, but there are differences. And in some things, in some areas, Coda is better, and in some areas, Notion is better. And it doesn't matter who you are. There's going to be one that works better for you. That's just the reality of it. Of course, when I'm doing this, every company out there is going to do this from their strength point of view. So they will have feature comparison, against competitors, from my, let's say, strong point of view or strengths point of view. Okay, why? Because obviously you want to show what are your strengths compared to those competitors. Most of the companies are going to do that. So that's just the reality of it. Let's move on so we don't take too long, because this is going to be a really long video otherwise. What would be then the consideration phase? So during consideration phase, and now I have focused a lot on the awareness. Actually, I had to change this. I made a mistake. Basically, all this would be part of the consideration. Let me explain why. So this is marketing. I'm thinking more about marketing activities at this point. And why I think that these are more in the consideration phase. So the reason is that for me, consideration starts in the moment that somebody has been already exposed to your product, meaning that they already are aware that your product exists. So now they want to find out more about your product. So these would be activities that I would do from marketing point of view. But now let's move away from the marketing and let's think about what I would do to, or what would be the need from my customer. Well, a very common thing is that, can I give it a try? So how would we allow our users to give a try to our product? Because this is something that they commonly are going to do, especially with this type of businesses. In B2B, most of the companies or most of the users are going to want to try. Here we can have different answers. We can create a product tour. I'm not going to necessarily explain or put a post for each one of them. And usually a product tour is like a click-through, a tour of our product that they can see in the website. So that would be one. Another one that we could create is a web demo, where basically they can load or go into a website page that loads an environment of our product where they can try our product. Another one that they could be doing here is doing a trial. Trial can be done in several ways. It can be a downloadable trial that works for 14 days, and after that you have to quote that sales, so on. And the other one is that they do a trial by first subscribing to the product, and then they get a trial for free. And that's something that you see, for example, in Netflix. In B2B, there's not necessarily that way of doing it, not so often, but it's something that happens as well. I would say that there are many other things that can be done, but just for simplification, I'm going to leave it at this. But basically, you want to do information, you want to do different activities that are going to help your users being able to consider your product. Now, moving on, purchase. So, for purchase, you will have to do a lot of work. A lot of work is going to be related to what type of licenses, pricing models you have, and business model even. So, okay, that's what you're going to have. And now I'm going to the solution without answering or without telling the problem, not what I should be doing. So this is one of the problems of doing product management, that you jump into the solutions right away when we should be describing the problem. So basically here, understand the offer. Offering and pricing. That's what the customers need to do. Not everybody is going to going through the pricing here. You still have to have it in the moment that they go and purchase. So they want to understand what is the pricing, the offering, and so on. So then we will just link it to that one. Then we had to, okay, how do I purchase? Or I will purchase now. Let's say I made my decision, I like the product, and yes, I'm defining only now mainly the happy journey, not necessarily the, things went wrong journey, that you will have to include as well. Because, for example, something can go in the purchasing process. What do you do to solve that? So what do we have? Well, this is going to be extremely complex. You will have, I'm not going to list all of them, because when it comes to the ways of purchasing, there's a ton of them that I think I have a video about it. If I do, I will link it up here. But you will have to explain here what are all the ways of defining your or of purchasing your product. You will have to define which ones you have picked. So I say that I will create a subscription, especially if it's a SaaS business. That's going to be the most common one. Model based on usage. It can be different ways. I mean, I can have a subscription model. I can have a perpetual license model. That's rare to see nowadays, but still exists. I can have different subscription models. They can be based on usage. They can be based on tiers. They can be based on number of users. It can be based on many other things. They can be floating, or they can be seats, what you sell. So this is very long or different options that you have to take into account. Okay, so I had to obviously have something, a tool that manages payments. So payment processing. Okay, so that's the next one. Now, something that probably as pro people, we don't tend to think too much: legal. There has to be a ton of legal documents that you had to create in order to purchase a product. So here you are going to talk about license agreements, you're going to talk about data protection, privacy, and so on. You probably are going to talk also about the analytics, usage, and all that stuff. And still, during the purchasing phase, you probably, in many cases here, you could call onboarding as part of this. Let's leave the onboarding to this one, and let's talk here about the user management. How do I manage my users, let's say? And this one will not be legal documents. This would be, again, I did a mistake here. It happens easily. It's not that I want to do legal documents. Those are I have in the bottom is that what am I signing for? Or something like that. Okay, so how do I manage my users? Basically, I would just have some kind of admin panel with all its functionality. I'm not going to define that here, obviously. And the admin panel also can be part of the purchasing process, by the way. I've seen sometimes very well integrated. When you have it like that, it's just awesome. Sometimes how this is done is quite complex. By the way, here, again, I'm assuming that the purchasing is done online, but purchasing could happen also by, like an enterprise case. You will not purchase probably 10,000 users via subscription. It might be a subscription model, but you're not going to do it through an e-commerce portal. So basically, this is more considering that this will be kind of an e-commerce. In other cases, you can do something like by sending them a bill that they had to pay. I don't remember how is that called. Anyways, let's just call it bill for now. I blank out on the name. But now, what would be then activities that I want to do for onboarding? Or what are the activities that, not that the ones I want to do, but the questions that my user will have. So how do I use XYZ? So I know that not everybody likes them. Oh, I put somehow the signature here. Or the person that created it. If you didn't know, you can add here who is the person that created, show the author. Anyways, so what I want to do here is that I want to create different onboarding materials. Let's say pro onboarding. Why I want to do this? Because I want to get people to get to the aha moment as soon as possible. Of course, I want to do that during the evaluation of the product. I want to do that in this stage that we were earlier. So basically, the question here is get to the aha moment ASAP, as soon as possible. And the idea here is the same. Find the value. But here I don't want them to just find the value. Here I want to teach them to use the product. So here I'm trying to convince them to purchase the product. Here I want to help them to learn to use the product properly. I mean, there's no time in 14 days, 30 days to really learn to use the product properly. So what do we create for this? We can create tutorials. Some people don't like tutorials. It doesn't matter. What do we do? Some people are not going to like it. Some people will like it. Documents. You could argue that tutorials are good, like they're done sometimes in games. They can be quite useful. Documentation, again, very useful. Not everybody loves to read, so not always the easiest. Videos. video lessons or something like that. Maybe even training sessions. This can be in person, they can be online. Anyways, we can have those ones to help the people to learn to use the product. Let's not call it just onboarding, let's call it onboarding and usage. Here, sorry, was just going to the other one, and service. For one reason, because here is that, or unuse, sorry. Here, the user are already using the product. So I have a problem. Houston, I have a problem. What do I do? The problem can be many things. Depends on the problem. It can be lack of knowledge. I don't know how to use something. Or it can be not lack of knowledge, but it can be a defect, a bug. So if it's lack of knowledge, some lack of knowledge is going to be solved with the tutorials, the videos, the training, so on. Some other lack of knowledge is not going to be solved like that. And then I'm going to need some kind of support channel. And this can be in different ways. It can be discussion forum. It can be like an online community, basically, I'm thinking about. It can be emails, or it can be some service provider for professional services, so PS, platform, whatever, whichever it is. And it can be something like a chatbot. And yes, many people will hate chatbots. But there are some chatbots that work really well, especially if you had the capability to reach out to an actual person if the chatbot or the AI is not able to solve your problem. In these cases, I think that a chatbot is extremely useful. So now, a bag. So if you have a bag, basically, ideally, you have a platform to be able to report bugs. But in my ideal world, I will want to have this link in a way to my admin panel, where I would basically have some kind of a panel that is not just to administrate my users, potentially my license, but also to see that if somebody has asked a question, I can see the history, what information has been sent, what documents have been shared, what is the status of my request or my problem, have they updated it, have they found a solution, or whatnot. So those will be different activities that you will have when doing onboarding, usage of the product, and so on. You will have new versions coming. And here, when it comes to new versions, is information. What does the new version contain? So here you are going to create probably many different types of content from marketing point of view. So release, let's call it release, not management, but promotion. Because release management is usually more technical, or can be understood more technical. And the other one that we want to do here is not just that, but it's potentially we want to education on what's new. And again, these links to how we are creating all this information. We probably would be linking this to the knowledge bases, to all this good stuff that we have been creating in the past. Now, what does a new version contain? What would be something else? Yes, localization needs. As part of the usage, I think that this is something that you have to consider, and part of your strategy is that is your product a product that is going to work only in certain languages in certain countries, or is your product that is going to be it's a product that is going to be international? If you're building a SaaS product, most likely you have to do that. So localization is going to be important. So how do I tailor my product? Tailor the product to my needs. Why? Because many people, when they talk about localization, they just talk about language. But that's not the only truth. When you think about localization, you are talking about different things. So let's put it here so we have a little bit more room. And I can do that. Yes, I can. So here, one would be language and geographical. Localization. So you want to have the language, you have to be able to, for example, put the local date and time, which is in different formats, depends on the country that you are, local currencies, and so on. So that's from the country, and from the product point of view, the usage of the product. But then there's the other side of localization that not many products necessarily had to care about, but in some cases it's going to be extremely important. And what is this? Is how is it tailored to local regulations? So in the past, I worked with products that were software products made for construction purposes. So either for designing buildings or for checking the quality of the buildings or the designs. There's a ton of regulations here when it comes to construction. And it depends on where you are, those regulations are going to be different. Even the materials are going to be different. So steel and the grade of steel, how the steel is created is going to be different in one country or another. The profiles of the steel are going to be different from one country to another. The regulations when it comes to especially public buildings are going to be very different from one country to another, like how a person with mobility problems moves around the building. So this is something that you have to take into account on how your product is going to potentially support those or not going to support, or maybe allow users to support these local regulations. And finally, there's going to be what usually it's advocacy. How do I create advocacy? This is hard. This is probably one of the hardest ones. But usually, one of the questions that I'm going to have as a user is how others are implementing the product. And this applies also to the consideration phase here in the beginning, by the way. You want to make sure that your users can share stories, so success stories. And this would be something that is very important also from other during the consideration phase that I was talking here earlier. You want to have those. There's going to be other things like webinars, so on, that are going to be very bottom of the line, and at the bottom of the funnel, I didn't put it here, but it's how do you capture leads. But this is not part of the, in a way, the customer journey, although it is, but that's more from the perspective of the company. But success stories or implementation stories are very important. So at the point of at the point of decision, probably success stories are more important. At this point, when I want to create a loyalty, oh my, implementation stories. These are going to be very important for the users to see how others are using the product. Or if I am using the product successfully, I might want to share this with others. I might want to help the community. These are things that create loyalty. And it's very important to have a community of like-minded people. So here, you could argue that the online community or the discussion forum, whatever we want to call it, is also a very important part of this. And as you can see, all these things start to have relationship with each other. I'm not going to put more lines, but this will be linked to this one here, because these two things would be again linked to each other, at least the discussion forum part. I will also have new releases. Why? Okay, so what is the question? Does the product get better? Add more functionality, if you want to call it. So for this, I will be creating new releases. New releases can be based on many things, so let's not go into that, but you will have like what customers want to see, where technology is going to be in the future, how you are adopting new ways of doing things in your product, how you are making it more efficient, better performance, whatnot. So, is this fun? You could have competitions. Something that we used to do in a couple of companies that I was in the past. It was run customer competitions. You have something like Notion or even Miro. You could create a competition where everybody could run for it and say that, hey, we want to give prizes to the ones that are creating the best whatever templates for the rest of the community. And you will reward the people that participate, but also you will reward the winners. This is something that really creates community. This is something that people enjoy a lot. People love to vote. Usually they were then done by voting that internally the company was giving a prize, but also the customers, the other users were given a prize. So there was different different rewards that they were giving based on who was ranking the community or was ranking the applications templates created. So is this fun? Maybe not. Is this fun? Can I contribute? Whatnot. And then you have maybe, let's keep it as a, I want to participate, which is relatively similar to the previous one. But here you will have events and so on. So this will be company events, product events. And I forgot to put it here, but I could have also events in the consideration phase or even in the awareness phase. I probably will participate in industry events that are going to help people discover my product or that are going to help people consider my product. That's something that's very common. And that's something that you are answering the question of people that want to go to events to understand better what's new in the industry, and your company could be there as part of that, and then you can use the resources that you have created. These events can be in many shapes or forms. Maybe I should be creating a video about how to do product events and how to do different events around products to help our users. Anyways, this is a very simple customer journey. But the idea here is that you want to make sure that you are trying to put yourself into your users' shoes when you are thinking about what are the activities that they're going to have. And you don't want to do this necessarily alone. Ideally, you want to verify this with customers. And ideally, you want to have not just the happy journey, but also the problems. There's going to be problems potentially with payments. There's going to be problems with other things. You might want to do that. But when you are a high level, I wouldn't recommend to do that. When you start defining some of the processes, you might want to define more that whole journey. I don't want to make this video any longer than it has to be, but let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think about seeing such a journey or this type of exercise to be done as a video. Do you think this is valuable? You don't think so? If you like this type of video, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to this channel. I create a ton of videos talking about software products and creating software products. I will see you in the next one. And remember, stay safe.